Thank you so much, Dr. Siti Nur Izzati, for the introduction. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi Shrali Sadri wa Yassir li Amri wa hludatan min lisani yafqahu. So, today, I'm going to talk about Islamic ethics in data collection and privacy, a continuation from my colleague, Dr. Sarah. Okay. Okay, today we'll focus on Islamic ethics in data collection and privacy. Okay, this is a very crucial area because using modern data technologies, okay, we have been collecting lots and numerous of data directly and indirectly from our consumers or our target markets. Okay, so as we navigate this rapidly evolving field, okay, it is very important, very essential for us to ground our practices in Sharia principles to uphold trust, dignity, and justice. Today, okay, data collection is everywhere, okay, from businesses collecting customer information to healthcare institutions managing patient records. Yet, Islam places a clear boundary on privacy and spying. The Quran warns us in Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 12, okay, with the translation, "O you who have believed, avoid much negative assumption. Indeed, some assumption is sin, and do not spy." Okay, do not spy or backbite each other. So this prohibition is again what we call tajassus or spying. Okay, it guides us to respect individual privacy even in the digital realm. Okay. Moreover, the Quran instructs us in Surah An-Nur verses 27 to 28 that one must ask permission before entering another's home. This is to respect their private space. So this can also be seen in the digital age that still we should not enter or collect personal data without explicit permission. So how do you think this applies when businesses collect data about us online without our direct consent or without us even knowing about it? There are several common or popular or widely used data collection methods by businesses today. Okay, for example, survey, okay, where customers voluntarily provide information. Then we have sensors, which track behavior or environmental data automatically. And there are digital footprints, which are passive trails left as we or people navigate the web or use apps. And there is social media, okay, where people, okay, post content publicly or privately. So these generate vast data volume. Okay, so and each of these methods raises ethical questions. Okay, because Islam teaches us through strict principles to practice necessity and minimalism. These principles requires us to collect only what is essential and avoiding excessive surveillance. So this is to say that hidden or excessive data gathering can breach these ethical limits. So I'm sure that all of us have observed or experienced some kind of data collection that may cross ethical boundaries under Islamic teachings. So what practices concern you the most? Think about it. Okay. Classically, Islam teaches us the concept of aurah, okay, meaning the private or intimate parts that must be protected. This extends beyond physical privacy to cover personal information owing to its sensitive nature. Okay, the Quran's prohibition on spying, tajassus, okay, emphasizes this. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in Sahih al-Bukhari, okay, beware of suspicion, for suspicion is the worst of false tales, and do not, okay, what is the, okay, others' fault, and do not spy on one another. So this is do not spy. Okay, the emphasis is on do not spy on one another. So this can be seen as a stern warning, okay, warning that invading privacy, even through data collection or sharing information without consent, is a sin. Okay, so respect for privacy protects karama, the inherent dignity Allah bestows upon us. Okay, when data breaches occur or private information is misused, this dignity is violated. However, Islamic jurists also recognize some public interests where data sharing might be necessary, but always with strict limits. Ensuring transparency and justice means that we still can collect information, but it should not be extensively or beyond what is required. Okay, handling personal data and trust, we should handle data entrusted to us with the spirit of amana, okay, which is a sacred trust. And one of our duties as Muslim is to uphold this trust within the utmost care. So if we consider this as our amana, then inshallah, okay, it will ground us on the right principle in managing the data that we have collected. Okay, because this obligation requires us to employ all reasonable means to protect our data, okay, including the use of data encryption, restricted access, or even conducting regular audits. And we have learned from unfortunate incidents where many financial firms suffered from data breaches. Okay, this result in loss of customer confidence and also reputational harm. So this harm violates Islam's principle of la darar, or prohibition of harm. The Prophet's teachings reinforce that trustworthiness is a mark of righteousness. So it is important for us to safeguard data, okay, so that, okay, when we protect the data, we should not consider it as our technical compliance, but we should treat it as our act of faith, okay, fulfilling our ethical and responsibilities. Okay, informed consent is grounded in the Islamic principle of ikhtiyar, free will, and the Quran's call for justice and kindness is one of them stated in Surah An-Nahl, okay, with the meaning or the translation, indeed, Allah commands justice, the doing of good or kindness, and giving to relatives, and He forbids all shameful deeds, injustice, and oppressions. So, what makes or what can be considered as a valid consent? Okay, there are few checklists. Okay, there are few items that we can use as the checklist to ensure that the consent is valid. Firstly, it must be clear and complete. Okay, we should fully explain what the data is collected and why we are collecting the data. Secondly, it must be freely given, okay, without coercion or deception, meaning that the respondents give their consent to participate or to give the information. Okay. Thirdly, the person consenting must understand what they agree to. And last but not least, it must be revocable. Okay, meaning to say that at any point during the data collection process, the respondents must be given option to opt out. Okay, so we can compare this with the modern concept of GDPR. Okay, actually, Islam imbues these requirements with spiritual and moral dimensions. So what is GDPR? Basically, GDPR is a European Union's General Data Protection Regulation. Okay, it refers to the permission that individuals must give before an organization can process their personal data. Okay, so think about the consent form example being used by some Islamic financial institutions. Do you think that this document effectively meets this Islamic criteria for consent? Do you have any suggestions that how can they improve transparency or freedom in collecting our personal information? Okay, a scenario. Okay, let's consider a scenario about how ethical challenges that often face in financial data collection. Okay, because for financial institution, they need to collect customer data for credit risk asset analysis. Okay, collecting detailed financial and demographic information can greatly improve their service quality. However, the concern is the extensive or undisclosed data gathering risk, breaching privacy and being perceived as tajassus. Okay, some Islamic banks recognize this challenge and they have changed their approach to full transparency. Okay, so what they did, they provided their customers with online portals showing exactly what the data is collected and how it is used. So and they also allow their customers to opt in or opt out of specific data uses. So this approach strengthened customer trust, improve compliance with Sharia ethical standards, and also boosted institutional reputation. So think about how could you adopt similar transparent policies in your own organizations? What are the potential challenges and how might you overcome them? So think about this. Okay, next is about ethical standard, Islamic ethics and global privacy framework. Okay? Many Islamic organizations operate in environment where international legal frameworks such as GDPR apply. Okay, so recall that GDPR emphasizes data minimization, purpose limitation, and subject rights. So these principles actually consistent with many Islamic ethics on privacy and consent. However, Islam additionally emphasizes the spiritual and social responsibilities tied to this rule, such as protection of karamah and avoiding zulm. So, by implementing both legal and Sharia standards, even though they can be challenging, but they are mutually reinforcing. So what do you think? Do you think today Islamic organization should adopt privacy standards stricter than secular laws? Yes. Why or why not? About data stewardship, putting ethics into practice requires concrete steps. Some of the steps include, first is to integrate privacy by design principle, meaning to say that, it is embedding data protection from the very beginning. Secondly, to offer regular training for staff on Islamic privacy ethics and data handling policy. The third step is to be transparent with customers, about what the collected data to be used for, and fully respecting their rights. The fourth step is to invite Sharia scholars to review and oversee our data policies from time to time. And the fifth step is to employ strong cybersecurity protocols. So the question is, what immediate steps our organization can take to better embody amanah in data stewardship? So let's consider a case study, just to illustrate to you, that the proposed Islamic principles in data collection and managing the data of our client is visible, is doable, and has been practiced. So let's take Maybank Islamic Bank. Let's take Maybank Islamic Bank Berhad as our case study. Let's study what they have done in order to fulfill this. So Maybank Islamic is actually a part of Maybank Group. The bank is recognized for integrating Sharia government deeply into its operation, and they have adopted advanced digital banking solution with strong emphasis on customer rights and data privacy. So like many other Islamic financial institutions, Maybank Islamic collect extensive customer data, including their financial transactions, their personal demographics, and their credit history, which is very important because financial institutions need to assess the credit risk, or they need to tailor financial products, but at the same time, they also need to comply with regulatory requirements. However, on the part of the bank, managing this data responsibly while respecting Islamic ethical guidelines is very challenging, because they need to observe the guidelines on privacy, aura, trustworthiness or amanah, and prohibition of spying, tajassus. So this is not easy. And for customers, at the same time, they have to ensure, the customer, so that they feel that their sensitive information is not misused or not collected excessively. So this is very important, to create a mutual trust, so that they are very open, so that customers would provide the needed information, for the bank, to process or to conduct due risk analysis. So what are the strategies? What are the strategies that have been adopted by Maybank to ensure transparency and ethical practices? First, they have a comprehensive data privacy policies. Maybank Islamic publishes clear and accessible privacy notices explaining the types of data they collected, the specific purpose of the data they collected, data sharing protocols, and they also share customers' rights according to Malaysian data protection laws and Sharia ethics. Second, they have customer data portals. The bank provides secure online portals where customer can view what personal data the bank holds about them. So this transparency empowers or enables customers to monitor data collection and use proactively. So the customers can know what data being collected and why okay, or what are the users of the data being collected. Okay, the third practice adopted by Maybank is explicit consent mechanism. So they have explicit consent mechanism where their customers are given clear choices to opt in or opt out of certain types of data, okay, or data processing activities, okay, beyond the core banking function. So they ask permission. For example, if you realize, okay, when you fill up certain form, they will ask whether, okay, you want to give them consent to share your data with the third party. Okay, so this actually respects the Islamic principle of ikhtiyar, free will, and informed consent. Okay, Maybank also have a Sharia Supervisory Board oversight. Okay, so Maybank Islamic Sharia Board reviews. Okay, they don't only review financial products of the bank, but the Sharia Board member or committee also supervise or review the operational policies of the bank. Okay, including data governance frameworks. Okay, and this is important, okay, because this is to ensure, okay, the practice, the procedure, the framework are in alignment with Islamic principle of justice, adl, dignity, karamah, and also trust or amanah. Okay, and maybe Islamic also provide staff training and awareness campaign, okay, where their employees, okay, need to go for regular trainings on Islamic data ethics and contemporary legal requirements, such as we have Malaysia's Personal Data Protection Act 2010. So this, okay, importantly foster a culture of ethical responsibility among their employees. And Maybank Islamic also have a policy with regards to incident response and customer notification. Okay, so in unexpected event like data breaches, okay, so Maybank Islamic commits to prompt notification and remediations which reflect, okay, the Islamic principle to avoid harm to others. There is the principle of la darar. Okay, so these are examples of mechanisms, okay, adopted by Maybank Islamic with regards to transparency and ethical practice. So, what are the advantages? Okay, what are the the outcomes, or what are the benefits? Okay, what are the benefits of this practice or this policy in place? Okay, to Maybank. Okay, firstly, okay, it enhances their customers' trust and satisfaction because of the transparent communication and respect for privacy. Okay, the second benefit is strengthen compliance with both Sharia and national data protection laws. Okay, these policies also elevated their institutional reputation because now, okay, they are known for being a responsible and ethical Islamic financial service provider, which is very important. This is how you create value to your customers. And last but not least benefit is, okay, contributions to, they contribute to raising the Islamic banking sector standards in digital ethics and ethics regionally. So they are promoting, they set the benchmark, they become the role model for others to follow. So why do I cite this case? Okay, why this case is relevant to our concern about Islamic ethics in data stewardship? Because this practice, okay, exemplifies how Islamic banks can balance business needs with respect for privacy, consent, and trust. Okay, so it fulfill the Quranic injunctions against spying, as stated in the Quran, okay, uh, and also okay, upholding aman, okay. So it provides a positive model okay, for financial institutions to integrate ethical data management deeply or as a part and parcel of their operational and Sharia governance framework. Okay, and their practice or this case study also demonstrates that practical application of Islamic ethical concept, okay, such as ikhtiyar, adl, and la gharar in modern technology-driven practice environment is feasible and doable. Okay, so okay, you are welcome to share okay any dilemmas or experience you have had regarding data privacy and Islamic ethics with us today. Okay, so that we can learn from each other experience. Okay, and it is great. Okay, if you can share with us. Okay, about practical solutions or your thoughts on implementing these ethical principles in your respective environment. Okay, so to summarize today's session, okay, we learned that Islamic ethics through Quranic injunctions and prophetic traditions demand respect for privacy, clear consent, and trustworthiness in data handling, but considered as spiritual and ethical obligations. Okay, as future leaders and practitioners, we should do our best to champion these principles in our professional life to ensure that data collection and use uphold the dignity and rights of all. So thank you for your attention today. Okay, so next week my colleague Dr. Sarah will explore fairness and bias in AI from an Islamic perspective. Okay, so just to share with you, okay, this the middle book Essential of Management Science. So I wrote this book with my colleague Professor Rafiqul Islam. So in this book, okay, we discuss several quantitative decision making techniques. Okay, and we relate the application of the computational part of the techniques with Islamic perspective. So with that, thank you very much. And
Thank you
over
very
to
much.
Dr. Is.
Okay, thank you very much, Wan Rohaida, for your insightful debate sessions. Okay, you have reminded us that in the age of a big data, protecting privacy and ensuring, ethical stewardship is not only a legal duty, but also a moral and spiritual obligation in Islam. So I've seen on the discussion that we have in chat over here, they were talking about maybe we should and have our own guidelines and rules. So basically, we do have the what they call the Western part. So what do you think about that? How we can actually shape our own rules, but it is according in Islamic principle.
Yeah, true. To me, it is our responsibility. Okay, it is everybody should play their role. Okay, because if each one of us contribute okay towards this in our own respective area, okay, and some of us okay have the how to say have the enjoy doing research, then we should pursue okay doing research to develop principles.
Yes, of course. And another one, from your presentation, you highlighted the concept of amana in data stewardship. So could you share one simple example of how an organization can uphold amana when managing customer data?
Yeah, like the case study of Maybank that I shared just now.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
So okay, they what they do is even from the very beginning, okay, they are they have been you have to inform, okay, you have to clearly specify, okay, you're asking your customers consent, okay, to collect this data, and you explain what what are the users, why the data is collected, and what are the users. And like what have been done by Maybank Islamic, they have customer portal, right? Customer data portal. So
Yeah, yeah.
the customers can access the portal and they know exactly what are the data about them being kept by the institution. So this is an example
Mm.
of it being amana.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I agree about that. And then because of that, you spoke about, regarding to that, you spoke about the principle of necessity and minimalism in data collection, isn't it? So, how
Yes.
about maybe you could give or share with us one example of a situation where collecting too much data might become unethical?
Yeah. Because for example, if let's say because some company, okay, when they when they conduct the survey, okay, when they conduct the survey, okay, so you should, okay, if you not, when we want to collect the data, for example, in the questionnaire, we have to clearly indicate, okay, what are the purpose of the data being collected, okay, and then, okay, based on the purpose, okay, based on the general purpose, okay, often, okay, we would guide the respondent, okay, for every part of the data collection process. We will say, okay, this section is meant to collect your input about what, okay. So basically this is the process to ensure that, okay, only relevant information is collected, okay. We should not collect information beyond what is needed, okay. So for example, if you want to collect about collecting the information about for example the religion, okay, some people they are a bit sensitive about this, okay. So if the information that you need is not related to a religion, then you should not collect it. For example, if you want to sell food, okay, so of course what is consumable or what is acceptable, okay, is affected by the religion. So in this case, it is acceptable for you to ask the information about the religion. But if let's say, okay, you are collecting the data, perhaps about the model of transport that they want to use, then there is nothing to do with the religion. Then that information should not be collected, meaning that you are collecting more than the information that you need.
I agree with that because of you have explained about informed consent, isn't it? So you list voluntariness, clarity, comprehension. But then, what do you think? Which of this is often overlooked by organization and why it is important? Because of sometimes organization like overlook things that they would like to take in as an information. So why it is important?
Okay, sorry, what is the question again?
Okay, so because of as an organization, maybe we would like to ask what they call consent, and then you're going to list out all the voluntarism and clarity. But then there are certain things that might be overlooked by the organizations. What is that? Usually, lah.
Common, usually based on the experience, okay.
Yeah, it's or usually it's overlooked, but then it is something that it is important. Not to do that, or it is must to do.
I think it is more on the perhaps about the I think about the how to say about the, it is related to the maybe the clear consent, okay, because sometimes there are some when you want to make application, okay, sometimes there is an you are required to input the information, okay, you are not given the option not to furnish them with that information. So
Yeah, yeah,
this is
truly.
related to the clear consent. Yeah, because like if you really need that, then you are forced to furnish the information,
Yes, yes,
whereby
yes,
clear
true.
consent say, yeah, you should be given opportunity or you should be given freedom to furnish or not to furnish that information.
Yes, yes, correct. Because of sometimes, yeah, we would like to what I call answering all the question, but there are certain things that they change it into a need to answer question or something like that, isn't it?
Yes,
So it
yes,
is
yes.
often overlooked by organizations.
Mm.
Okay, maybe do you have for the what I call from the audience, if you have any question that you would like to ask, we have several times left. Okay, so
Or perhaps audience can also share their experience with
you
regards to this
mentioned about
matter.
la darar, the Islamic
Mhm.
principle of preventing harm. So, how does this apply to protect personal data from misuse? How does this apply to protect personal data from misuse?
Okay, I think nowadays we are very worried about scammer. Okay,
Yes,
because like when we furnish our information to financial institution, surprisingly somehow there are always people who get the access, okay, and I'm not sure in other countries. For example, in our country we have employee provident funds, and several times I heard that when you withdraw the fund, as if then within the short gap people will the scammer would contact you, trying to scam you. So as if that there is a information leakage. And then there are also cases where, okay, where someone, how to say, apply credit card using your credential without your consent. And this were only known when we check for our CTOS. So this is about the protection of harm. Okay, how can financial institution, as an example of data collector, which often collect very sensitive information, protect the clients.
true. Because of certain scams have been left out, isn't it? So, is there any other question from the floor? You might actually can just, if there's none, okay, I would like to say thank you very much to Dr. Wan Rohaida.